So welcome to this criminology webinar. People will just be joining over the next couple of minutes. So what we'll do is just leave it a minute or so for everybody to join the webinar, and then we'll get started. So if we are quiet for a minute or so, it's just because we're waiting for people to join. You might want to think about any questions that you've got about the course, and feel free to pop those questions in the Q&A function, so that when we finish doing a bit of a presentation on the course, those questions are there ready for us to answer.
Should we go for it? Should we make a start, do we think?
Yeah, let's make a start. All right, so welcome to the criminology webinar. My name is Maggie Roper and I'm the course leader for criminology. And then we've got...
And I'm Jodie Freeman. I'm one of the teachers in the criminology team.
So we're going to be just discussing the criminology course that we teach here at QE. It is the WJEC Level 3 Applied Diploma in Criminology. So the course isn't an A-level, the course is a Level 3 qualification, which means it's equivalent to an A-level. It's an applied diploma, which means that the course has lots of practical elements to it and lots of application to real life. Okay, so the criminology department is made up of 3. So it's myself, Maggie. I've been teaching here at QE for 5 years. And previously I worked within the criminal justice system, working for the Crown Prosecution Service.
So I'm Jodie. I've been teaching for 7 years. 3 of those have been at QE. My background is kind of film and media specialism, with some sociology as well. So this is kind of our first year, obviously, running criminology at QE. But you know, obviously we're biased, so you think it's a fantastic course, and hope you do too. I think it's just worthwhile mentioning as well, sorry, just while I remember, I think Maggie mentioned that right at the very start, but if you've just joined, can you just make sure that if you've got any questions, you note them down, or you can just put them into the Q&A function at any point, and they'll be flagged up to us. I'll say as well that we've got Julie in our team, in our department, and she's not here with us tonight. Do you want to say anything more about Julie, Maggie?
Yes, so Julie's got a wealth of experience. She's done lots of work before teaching RE, looking at crime and punishment from an ethical perspective and a religious perspective. So she's a brilliant addition to our team for criminology. All right, so you might be wondering, if you haven't really come across criminology before, what criminology is about. So criminology is the scientific study of crime trends, and it looks at the causes of crime, the causes of victimisation, i.e. why someone might become a victim of crime, and looking at what can be done to prevent crime. Now, there are many misconceptions surrounding crime that exist within the public due to how the media portrays crime, for example, how we see crime in the news, in films, in TV, and also the hidden figures of crime statistics. Through studying criminology, we'll be highlighting and challenging lots of these misconceptions so that you leave the course with a really thorough, factual understanding of crime. Okay, so really commonly students at open evening will want to know how the course is assessed. So the criminology course is assessed via controlled assessments and external exams. So the controlled assessments, they function like an exam. So you would go in on the day, you wouldn't be able to talk to anybody else, you'd have to work independently, and you'd have a set amount of time to answer questions that you've never seen before, okay? However, the way that controlled assessments are different is that they are longer, they're split across 2 days, and students can take their notes into the assessment to help them answer the questions. So for students who find exams quite quite challenging, and students who, would like the comfort of having their notes with them to kind of help them apply everything that they've learned, the controlled assessments are brilliant. So it really benefits students who are well organised, and you've got lots of detailed, thorough notes in your folder that will then help you respond to all of the tasks and the questions on the day of the controlled assessment. Now, there are 2 controlled assessments, one in the first year and one in the second year of the course. The course also has 2 external exams. They are 90 minutes long, 75 marks, and the questions range from 1 mark all the way through to 9-mark questions. So there's a really nice mix of short answer questions and then your more longer extended writing questions. Now, because of the controlled assessment requires extended writing and responses to a scenario on the day of the controlled assessment, and also because of the extended writing with the external exam, the entry requirement for criminology is at least a grade 4 in English language. Okay, so if we have a look at the overview of the course, it's a 2-year course, and Jodie's going to talk you through what you will be studying in year 1.
So in year 1, as Maggie said, it's split into 2 units for both years. In year 1, we do unit 1 and unit 2. So unit 1 is the controlled assessment that you'll do in January. Unit 2 is the external exam that you'll do in May. So unit 1, really interesting and kind of wide-ranging topic. Within that, we look at changing awareness of crime. So we first of all start by looking at a whole range of different types of crimes, from white-collar crimes and technological crimes through to honour crime, hate crime. We look at moral crimes such as drug abuse and underage drinking, and we look at state crimes as well, so things like genocide, terrorism, and we look at within that the typical offenders and the typical victims of those types of crimes, whilst at the same time trying to sort of challenge some of the stereotypes that come with that. We then kind of move on to looking at the consequences of not reporting crimes and the reasons why people don't sometimes report crimes. So it could be personal reasons such as fear or shame. So for example, we look at that in relation to things like domestic abuse. Or it could be social cultural reasons for not reporting crime. So as a kind of a society, a community, why do we give attention to certain types of crime and not so much others? So why is it that we are particularly interested in things like violent crimes, whereas other crimes such as white collar crimes and things like fraud or embezzlement, we just don't kind of have as much of an awareness about them, or we don't report them as readily. So we look at all the kind of the consequences of that as well, and we look at things that can change in society in relation to that. So for example, if society, maybe their values shift and ideas about what's morally right and wrong change, then what happens as a consequence of that? So we look at things like legal changes to legislation. So for example, homosexuality was still illegal up until the late 1960s, but because of shifting value systems within our society, that obviously became decriminalised eventually. So that's kind of part of Unit 1. As part of the controlled assessment as well, you also have a practical element where you're going to design your own campaign for change. So we look at some case studies of existing campaigns for change, things like Sarah's Law in relation to Sarah Payne. We look at Andrew Harper's Law as well. So we look at those kinds of existing campaigns, and then you design your own campaign for change based on the brief you'll get on the day of the controlled assessment. So that'll be an unseen brief, and that'll be your whole controlled assessment will be based kind of around that. So that's Unit 1, and then within Unit 2, which we'll be starting after Christmas of your first year, we start to look at criminological theories. So we look at biological, sociological and individual theories surrounding why people commit crimes, and what the kind of the treatments of that might be, and kind of trying to get to the root cause of why criminals behave certain ways. So that kind of sums up Year 1 in a nutshell. So Maggie's going to talk to you now about Year 2.
Okay, thank you. So obviously by the end of Year 1, you will have sat a controlled assessment and an exam that will count towards half of the overall qualification, the Criminology diploma. Then in Year 2, you will study a unit, Unit 3, which is called From Crime Scene to Courtroom. So this unit explores the criminal investigation process from the moment that a crime is identified all the way through to a verdict of guilty or not guilty. And as part of that unit, you will be looking at all of the different people involved in investigating a crime. So your police officers, your pathologists, your crime scene investigators. You'll also explore the different techniques that can be used to gather evidence for a crime. So your forensics, your DNA, fingerprinting, CCTV, eyewitness statements, all of those things. And because it's a controlled assessment unit again, it's very practical, and you'll be applying your knowledge of crime scene investigation to real life cases and looking at whether the verdicts in those cases were fair and just. Then once you've done Unit 3, you'll do Unit 4, which is looking at crime and punishment. So how do we deal with offending behaviour? Why do we punish offenders? What different punishments are available, and actually how effective are those punishments in dealing with offending and preventing it from happening and protecting the public. Unit 4 is an exam-based unit that will be sat in the summer of the second year, and the whole of the second year, both of those units, is the other 50% of the diploma. Okay, so I think Jodie's going to talk you through the benefits of studying criminology and why you're going to benefit from joining this fantastic course.
Yep, so you're going to develop a range of different skills and obviously knowledge as part of the course, but some of the skills that you're going to develop are going to set you up for further study and for also for when you kind of get into the career that you want to get into. So employability skills will be developed as well. So a big part of the course is going to be kind of wider reading and independent research. So we do right from the off expect that you're going to be able to kind of use sources, whether they're online or in books, or kind of wider reading sources such as TV programs, documentaries, articles online, etc., in order to inform your own notes and your research notes. So that's a big part of what we do within class and outside of class as homework. Analytical and critical thinking skills. So we do a lot of analysing of crimes and reasons behind why crimes happen, and we look at kind of making sure that we have critical judgments of those things. We do a lot of debate in class. This is a subject that lends itself to kind of debate, sometimes quite heated debate, whilst also trying to make sure that we have respect for other people's opinions and that we challenge each other whilst also respecting what everybody else thinks in the room as well. You'll improve your problem solving skills, your planning and organisation. So we are sticklers for being organised and making sure that your notes are in order, and your IT skills as well. So for example, as part of your controlled assessment, you're going to have to use computers and you're going to have to design your campaign using things like Canva, which is an online tool for creating things like posters and graphics. So that'll be quite a nice creative part of the course as well, that some people might not expect that you'd be able to be creative as part of this course as well. Okay, thank you.
So if you're thinking about criminology and accessing higher education, going to university, the course is designed to be a foundation and provide you with the building blocks to go on and study criminology at university. The course is graded like an A-level, so although it is an applied course, it follows the A star to E grading structure of an A-level. It's just that you have a diploma at the end of the course rather than an A-level. Along with the A star to E grading structure, it carries UCAS tariff points and appears on the UCAS tariff calculator. And the points for each grade are just here on the screen.
If anybody has any questions about that, by the way, do feel free to ask and we can kind of give you a bit of extra help with getting your head around the grading system and the qualification.
Sure. In terms of trips and visits, that's also a common question that we get from students at open evening. Obviously, it's very difficult at the moment with COVID-19 and the pandemic in terms of trips and visits, but in the future, we hope that we will be running trips to do a court visit so you can see how a court works, what it looks like. Attending a criminology conference where there'll be guest speakers from the field of criminology, bringing in a crime scene investigator to do the forensic experience, which is a workshop on crime scene investigation, and then visits and links to universities to help your progression from the diploma on to criminology at university. Okay, so in terms of careers and employability, if you're thinking about how this course might benefit you for your future, as a criminology student with critical thinking, analytical and excellent communication skills, you are an extremely attractive candidate to employers, both inside and outside of the criminal justice sector. Now, the course itself, because it is very specific to criminology, is obviously designed to support progression to working within a related field. So if you are interested in things like the prison service, working in the probation service, joining the police force, working within the Crown Prosecution Service, or maybe working with young people as a youth worker or social work, then this course is really ideal for progression into those kind of careers. Equally, you'll be developing skills that will go beyond that prepare you for a role in teaching or market research or journalism. So, you know, the course really does lend itself to a variety of different careers, both within the criminal justice sector and outside. Okay, so useful subject combinations. It lends itself really well to subjects that are within the humanities field. So lots of our students do criminology with history, with geography, with English. It lends itself really well with film and media studies and media technical, because we do look at the role of media and how it portrays crime. Because of some of the debates around punishment, it lends itself really well to philosophy, religion and ethics, and it can go alongside psychology, sociology and law as well, because there are some shared topics within criminology that shared with law, psychology and sociology. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our kind of presentation. So what we'll do is we'll go over to the question and answers now and see what questions you've got.
So we've got Jack, who's asked, does Criminology and Law have a link? So as Maggie was just saying there, yes, there are links between subjects like law. The good thing is that there's actually only one unit within law that would kind of have a crime element. So the same goes for sociology and the same goes for psychology, I believe. Is that right, Maggie?
Yes.
Yeah. So actually, you know, there aren't going to be too many overlaps that it would be kind of not worthwhile studying those alongside each other. But equally, it really just depends on the route that you want to take. So if you have a really set idea about what university course you want to apply for, or apprenticeship, or what kind of employment that you want to go into, and what career you want to do, then, you know, if you did those very similar subjects together that complement each other really closely, so for example, law, criminology and psychology or sociology, then that would be great. But equally, as Maggie was saying, if you wanted to do quite a broad range of subjects and you aren't 100% sure yet, then it would complement a wide range of other subjects as well, like the arts and the humanities, if you wanted to do something a little bit more diverse. I think Jack's also asked, is everything writing? So is there a lot of writing? Do you want to go with that one, Maggie?
Yes, so there is a heavy written component to the course. For example, for the controlled assessment unit, you are doing your own research and you are bringing together your notes ready for the controlled assessment from your research. The exam unit is obviously a written exam as well. So there is a lot of writing involved in criminology, and therefore we would say to students that, you know, that you're comfortable with a subject that involves extended writing and that you enjoy researching crime and writing about it.
Eleanor has asked, how well would it work as a fourth subject? So what we tend to advise students now, and you'll see this when you come to enrol, so you'll get a bit further advice about this, but we tend to advise students to sort of pick 3 subjects, because that's the requirement that universities ask. So we sort of say to students, avoid doing a 4th subject unless it is the case that you feel very, very strongly that you want to do 4 subjects, but you have to get a certain level of grades to be able to justify us allowing you to do that. So that would be a conversation with your interviewer on enrolment, really. But certainly we try to keep people focused on 3 subjects for enrolment for the most part.
Okay, so what is the pass rate? This is the first year that we are running the course. So at the moment, we don't have a pass rate for QE Criminology because this is our first year of running it. Nationally, the pass rates are strong and students tend to perform well when they study criminology.
What's the next
How
question?
big are the classes? Classes range from sort of 20 to 22 students is our average class size.
Would this be useful if I wanted to go into forensic science? Absolutely. So equally, this would work really nicely alongside applied sciences or the other science subjects. We do chemistry, physics and biology as our sciences, as well as the applied science. So yeah, definitely would be useful if that was something that you were going to go into eventually.
Okay, the difference between an A-level and this course is an applied diploma. Now it's equivalent to an A-level. It's graded A star to E like an A-level, but the course has a much more practical focus and the assessment structure is different, with it being controlled assessment and an exam rather than all exams. Okay, is this a course that would be advantageous if I wanted to pursue a career within the Navy Police? Absolutely. You know, careers within the criminal justice system, careers within the civil service, the criminology diploma is really going to help you prepare for those in terms of knowledge, but also skills as well.
So do you know how I'd be able to get into the police? Will criminology help? Definitely, criminology would be hugely beneficial for going into police work. And it's worthwhile looking into the degree apprenticeships that the police offer now. Fantastic opportunity, and this would be a really good course to do before going into that, if that was the route you wanted to take into the police.
Yeah, they're asking now for the police that you do have a degree. So there are different routes that you can enter the police, but you will need a degree. So one of them might be to apply for an apprenticeship with the police, where they basically put you through your degree during your apprenticeship. The other route is that you could do a degree at university and then go on to do the graduate diploma training course with the police. But either way, the criminology will be really beneficial for whichever route that you wanted to take to join the police. Would it be too much to do law and criminology? Absolutely not. We've got lots of students that are doing both. And you know, the criminal law element of the law course is just one unit of the law course. And there is law involved with criminology, but equally you will study lots of things in criminology that you wouldn't be doing in a law classroom, and vice versa. So no, I wouldn't say it's too much to do the both at all.
Is criminology good to do forensic investigation? Yeah, so I think we've kind of answered this one before, but yeah, absolutely, definitely a good one to study if you want to go into forensics or police investigation, absolutely.
Just make sure that your other subjects are science-based subjects, because obviously the forensic investigation, whilst the criminology will give you a good addition, they're wanting your science subjects for that. So yeah. Do we do much on serial killers or abductions? We do cover violent crimes, but we actually cover a lot of crimes that are non-violent crimes, for example, like your white-collar crimes. When we're looking at Unit 1, quite a lot of the crimes that we're looking at aren't related to your serial killers. When we do go on to looking at Unit 2 and we look at the causes of criminal behaviour, perhaps the causes of, of murdering someone, we will look at some serial killers there, but the whole course isn't focused solely around the likes of your Ted Bundys or Jeffrey Dahmers. So yeah, there's a mix.
How many hours a week do we do? So within lesson, in class time, we do 5 hours a week. So it's 2 1.5-hour lessons and 2 1-hour lessons. Outside of that, there is an expectation of at least 4 hours a week of homework. And you'll find that's going to be the case for all of your subjects. So you're kind of roughly doing about 30 hours of study per week, roughly, which is the equivalent of, well, it's less than a full-time job. So you've just got to be aware that there is going to be that level of independent work outside of class time as well.
Okay, so how much of a crossover is there between criminology and psychology? So psychology, there is a whole unit on criminal behaviour that you would do in the second year, and you do touch upon some elements of crime in the first year of psychology. Some of those topics do cross over with Unit 2 within criminology. So there is a link between your psychology and Unit 2 of criminology when we look at theories of crime. So for example, we look at biological and psychological explanations of criminal behaviour. You would be looking at similar theories in psychology. However, Unit 1, 3 and 4 within criminology, there is no crossover to psychology there. Equally, on the psychology course, you will learn lots of things aside from criminal behaviour that don't cross over with criminology. So they can work nicely together, particularly where the crossover just helps you consolidate across both subjects.
I'm just conscious of the time now. We've only got a few minutes left, so I'm just going to try and answer questions that haven't been asked before. So how long lessons be? So I've already answered that one. Between 1 and 1.5 hours. 4 hours expected at home per week. Classwork, no. Your final grade doesn't come from any classwork. It comes from a mixture of controlled assessment, which is kind of a mix between exam and coursework, but it's in exam conditions and external exams. So no, you don't get assessed on your actual classwork notes. It's not like coursework.
Okay.
Sorry, go on, Maggie.
Criminology, you level 4 in English language.
Do you do one-to-one intervention with students? Yep. So if that's needed for extra support, then we do offer one-to-one interventions.
Would this help with a degree in law at university? You would need to check which university that you wanted to go to. For example, there might be some Russell Group universities where they would value A-levels rather than an applied course. So what I would say is always check the entry requirements with the universities that you think that you might want to go to and have a look whether they would be accepting criminology as a course. Lots of universities do accept it, but there might be a small number that wouldn't be looking for this qualification. So please do have a look at the universities, look at their entry requirements, and do speak to our HE department here if you need any help.
Any extracurricular activities that tie in well with criminology? Hi, Josh. Yeah, we kind of do suggest that if you can do some work experience, that would be always beneficial to any course and any kind of future prospects. Is there anything else you wanted to say about that, Maggie, in terms of extracurricular?
No.
So any work experience you can do, especially if it's relevant, obviously, to criminology, then that would always be definitely beneficial. Yeah. Is there a practical element? Yes, there is practical aspects in the controlled assessment. So that's where you kind of get to be a bit more creative and you design your own campaign for change. So you kind of developing your IT skills as well.
Is criminology helpful for getting a job in counselling? I wouldn't say, I mean, there are transferable skills that you will get that will be highly relevant to counselling, but it's not a specific course that a counselling, role would need. So you'd probably be better for psychology if you were wanting to go into the counselling route, but criminology might be a nice addition to your profile alongside the psychology.
If I want to do criminal psychology in the future, can I take this? Yeah, absolutely. It would work really well. And especially kind of if it was complementing a study of psychology as well. Okay. If the number of people is too high to apply for the courses, how would you determine who would be picked to take the course? That's a good question. We do try and have as much flexibility as possible in terms of numbers. It's a really, really popular course. So obviously one of the big things is that, the best GCSE grades that you can possibly get would be beneficial, especially in English language, which is a big requirement for us. But we do try and accommodate as many people as possible. But of course, there is a point where, the courses may become too full to accept any more students onto it. So, enroll as soon as you can. And just make sure you get those grades at GCSE.
Okay, will this not being an A-level affect getting into university? It depends on the university. The Criminology Applied Diploma is accepted by lots of universities for lots of courses. However, it will just depend on the course that you're wanting to do and the university that you're wanting to go to. So be thinking about what courses you might want to study at university, and then just checking their entry requirements and whether this is a course that they would value and accept for your application. Okay, so can you give me an example of what one of the questions on the exams would be like? Okay, so you could get a question on the exam which might say, describe biological theories of criminality. And that could be anywhere between 6 and 9 marks. So that would be where you would use your knowledge of biological explanations of crime, and you describe what you would know in the form of an extended response. How many people do you take a year? At the moment, we've got 188 students enrolled on criminology. So we've got quite a large first year cohort. So yeah, a large first year cohort at the moment. It's a very popular course.
Hopefully expecting about the same next year.
Yeah, the same or if not more.
Yeah.
Get the course grown and bigger.
If anybody's got any further questions, or if we didn't have time to kind of answer any tonight, then feel free to contact us via the college website, and those queries can be directed to Maggie, myself and Julie, and we'll try and get back to you as soon as we can about it. But I think that's covered everything. Thank you everybody for coming. Hope that's answered your questions satisfactorily.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time. I hope it's been informative. And like Jodie says, if you've got any other questions, if you just email qe@qeliz.ac.uk and just say it's a criminology question, then those will come through to us and we'll get in touch and answer those for you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Enjoy the rest of your evening.